Hi guys. I've been wanting to do a video for a while, but things. Also, listening. I went back and listened to the one that I did in the car, and I realized I did do editing on that. That's obvious. You guys saw the little graphic stuff going on. You saw the text at the bottom. The text at the bottom was because the previous pixel did it also. For some reason, when videos get to a certain length and it's different every time, it cuts it and has another one. And the problem with that, it wouldn't be a big deal if I could just, well, one problem with that is that I can't just immediately upload that to YouTube. YouTube uploader sucks in the first place, especially the new one. But the mobile upload is even worse. It has almost zero functionality. So the problem when I import the videos to desktop is that Premiere has its slew of problems, and one of them is that there is always a risk every time you import a video with audio that the audio will be desynced, and it will happen every time for that clip. For whatever reason, I can remove it, bring it back in, same thing. And so the audio on that one got really desynced. When I first uploaded the video, there was clicking. And the reason why there was clicking is that I found the audio was so subtly desynced, but at the end of 20-something minutes, it was really off. I was saying a full sentence, and then you were hearing the full sentence. So I found that if I changed the speed of the audio to 100.02%, that mostly fixed it. But the problem is doing that, Adobe, being Adobe, I guess, caused an issue where there was clicking every second or so, and it was bad. It was very audible, and it was obvious that it was not the car, the road. It was about as bad as the rain is at the end of the video at the moment. So that's why I just said, screw it. I'll just have to put the message there saying the audio is going to get desynced. Sorry. So anyway, I'm not going to do the vlogs in the cars anymore, which kind of sucks because I thought that might be a way for me to get more out there. But the car noise is too much. I'm going to look into the existence of mics that work with Android phones for recording video to see if they're out there, and then if they are there ones that are good at filtering out that noise, even if it's simply by proximity. Because if I can just have, if I need to wear a headset or something and stick it in front of my mouth and look stupid that way, but it cuts the car noise out, then that's all right. I'll do that. If I do that, I'll get a lot more videos out, and they'll be a lot shorter. So I will, it's something where I could probably just record it on the way to work, and it'll be a 15-minute video. So one thing I'm going to do, and this is, you guys aren't really going to notice it unless I actually use names, but this is going to be the last one that's called JV or job vlog. Job vlogs will continue when I'm traveling for work. And so I'm just changing what the names are going to be, or what the letters are going to be, that's all. So I don't know when traveling is going to happen next, especially with all this nonsense, but we'll see. Instead of JV, it's going to be DB, which stands for Dear Brian. Brian was my closest cousin. In fact, you guys saw. I think I did a video where I had an intro graphic thing that he made for me, and he came to the stream a few times. I went into his. He did YouTube as well, but he died in his sleep last November, and I went to the funeral. This was, I might have mentioned it back then, but my first trip home after getting to Portland was only going to be for 4 days, and I spent 3 of them in Kansas. So that sucked. He was a real fun guy. We had a lot that we could talk about. Gaming was our thing, and so I kind of want to, starting with the next one, I will maybe kind of act like I'm talking to him in a way, because, and I got this idea, and I won't talk about this time. I'll start next time, but I was, season 2 of High Score Girl came out almost a month ago, and I was sitting there just thinking about talking to him about this stuff, especially since the time that the anime is set, early to mid 90s, and it progresses. That's the thing about this anime, is it's, even just to the points that I've watched so far, it's went through several years of the lives of these kids. They're talking about a lot of the games and types of games that he and I used to play together and talk about. So I kind of wanted, I just looked over while I was watching, and I was just wishing that I could have my buddy sitting right there next to me, and us talk about these games and enjoy this anime that uses them so much as a storytelling device. So if you have Netflix, or if your friend has Netflix and you're interested, it's a Netflix original, and I usually avoid those, but I also put that aside for an anime. Check out High Score Girl. It's a lot of fun, and that ending theme is, I don't use the word cute much, but it's very cute. It's very nice, very well done. So anyway, work is the same for me. Like I said before, we are as essential as it gets. We make microchips that go into mobile and computers. We're as essential as it gets. We keep the world turning. So I'm still at work. I don't have any sort of remote going on. This next week is going to be very intense, actually. Finishing or doing a whole bunch of upgrades on one of our tools. Excuse me. So there is that means I'm still commuting as much as I normally would have. Later on, once this install is completed, the intent, as long as supervisor gets approval, is to send me to nights, and also awesomely send me, have it be 410s instead of 5/8s, and that'll allow me to have more time back home, less commute, all that, less time up there where my land peoples and current roommate claim to want to help and be quiet and all that stuff, and they don't. They talk about being considerate, but they are not at all. For example, this week when I had to switch midweek from regular days to covering nights, and both days when I got back and was trying to sleep, one of them thought that 6:30 in the morning is a good enough time to vacuum, not caring about me, even though they knew that I was there, and told me that they were going to be considerate, not caring about the roommate either. There's no reason why he's up at 6:30. So I just hate being up there because of all of that. I hate that I have to pay to rent out a guest room to have the privilege of having a job. So I'm paying rent and a mortgage at the same time, just so I can have a job that pays decently, which don't exist down here. Not for me, I guess. Is there actually a cow walking its way over here? Anyway, to the fun stuff. Persona. I've been playing a lot of it. In fact, I took time out of playing Persona to come and do this walk and talk to you guys. So many game design thoughts. I'm loving it. And then there are portions of it that I'm absolutely hating. And it just makes me think, okay, if I was making one of these, what would I do? But it's also making me interested in how the other Personas were designed, what their story, how everything was structured. Because apparently those are also time management. So how are they handled? So you guys saw on stream, I didn't get to play much of it on stream because Atlas Japan were complete fucking assholes and said you can't play past certain dates because we don't want our game spoiled, despite the fact that the game had come out months ago in Japan and the entire game was already online in videos from a bunch of other people. So that was wrong in just about every way. And the fact that the game was actually bought for me as a gift from one of you, and then they announced the day before or the day of the game's release that we couldn't stream or make other video content past a certain in-game date was extremely shitty, and just made me feel bad about it. So you guys saw that I had problems before, and those are still true. It seems that they did fix. I did talk about how the cat is a lot less annoying in this one, but it seems like that was only true. They only worked to change that toward the beginning of the game. Toward the beginning of the game, you are consistently told to go to bed, and it's because you aren't, although it is pretty early, you do not immediately have access to making infiltration tools in your room. You do not immediately have access to working out in your room. You do not immediately have access to, you cannot go and buy the TV with DVD player and rent DVDs right away, because for quite a while your room is still dirty. Even if you want to clean it and have nothing else to do, you are still told to go to bed a lot. So that still happens. Now what this game did is it opened up LeBlanc's cafe, and very, very rarely, it still happens, but very rarely are you told that you can't even go downstairs. Going downstairs opens up so much because you are allowed to study at one of the booths. You are allowed to read at the counter. You are allowed to clean up, which, so studying improves knowledge, reading improves whatever that book was. Sometimes it doesn't improve anything, it just opens up a location. I hope that isn't audible to you guys. You can clean up, which improves your kindness a little bit, but also helps your relationship with Sojiro. And you can make stuff. You can make coffee, curry, and those are SP rejuvenating items that you can use in dungeons. So, in palaces or mementos. So that's great. And it opens it up and it happens early, but then, so that makes the beginning of the game a hell of a lot more palatable, much less frustrating. But then we get to points like what I just played through last night and this morning. It's no spoilers, of course, but the end of July, you end up getting pretty on rails, where the story is just happening at you and it takes up your daytime slot, and then on the evening slot you get sent back to your room. You can't do anything else. And so I spent so many nights, my DVDs, I couldn't rewatch them, or I don't know if you can rewatch them for less effect, but that would be a waste. I couldn't, like, there were 5 or 6 days in a row where I could not do anything. I could only watch the story and be in my room. I don't even think I was allowed to go downstairs. So I could not go and swap out my DVDs so that I had more things to watch. I was allowed to watch things, but I had already watched the things I had, so I wasn't going to get the benefit from it. I wasn't allowed to work out even if I wanted to. I have the protein to boost the benefit of working out, but I wasn't allowed to work out because the fucking cat. Hey, we should think about tomorrow. We should sleep. Not being able to leave the damn place means that I could not go right across the alley to the bathhouse. So that was, I think, not even the last Sunday in a row, but in this game, on the previous game, I think it was Mondays and Wednesdays, but in this game, it's just Sundays that the medicinal bath happens, where you get an extra chunk of charm. So it used to just be that, look, Sunday nights, that's where I'm going. I'm going to do that to build up my charm until my charm is maxed out. And right now, I actually cannot proceed in my confidant visits with Makoto until my charm is maxed out. So there are at least 3, possibly more. This next one might be blocked somehow as well. Sundays in a row where something in the story made it to where I could not leave on Sunday nights. And so I don't know if this was an oversight by the developers, but I want to increase my charm as effectively as possible. There are just certain things that if you do them in certain ways or at certain times, you get an extra little bit of that social stat. Going to the bathhouse on Sundays is one of them, and can't do it. And it frustrates me that they do this. And so this 5 or 6 day chunk where I could not do anything other than hanging out in my room, all I could do was build infiltration tools. And it got to the point where I ran out of things. I couldn't build anymore. I had 29 lockpicks and a whole bunch of other things. I couldn't build anymore. And so I realized, oh, there's another tab. So I went over to the other tab and I built 3 items instead of 5. And next, I'm going to try just building 1 and seeing because I still got 2 proficiency points. So I'm going to see if I can build just 1, because if I had run out of those, I would have actually had nothing to do in the room. I would have had a DVD that I already would have watched. I wouldn't have had any proficiency tool materials to make with. I could not work out. And there were days where I wasn't even allowed to leave my bedroom. So I would have had absolutely nothing to do other than waste that slot and go to bed. I hate when the game does that to you. And this was the end of July. The game starts at the beginning of April. So you think you're getting out of things and more freedom, and then the game just takes hold of you and says, fuck you. And what frustrates me is that there were days of weather to take advantage of too, I believe, during this stretch. But anyway, I'm finally, it seemed, and you don't know when this is coming up. This is the big thing. This can be fixed with one change, just one change in the game. And that is, if the game gave you a calendar that didn't have any details on it whatsoever, but had, because you only ever get, and this was also something I didn't ever agree with, you only ever get 2 times in a day, 2 time slots. Almost everything you do takes up a time slot. But what I don't understand is that on days where you don't have school, you still only have 2 time slots. I don't get that. You should have 3, 4. And of course, if you get, I'm not saying give them to me now and don't change anything else. I'm saying the game should have been designed around that very realistic idea of being able to do more on a day where you don't have to go to school. So that could have been as simple as, and this is not simple, but increasing all of the confidant caps to 12 instead of 10 so that you had to do more. That would have required a lot more writing and more scenes and stuff like that. So even though that's a simple idea, it's not simple in execution. They could have made it to where Almost nothing you did actually gave you 2 proficiency points. It only gave you 1. And if that was the case, I feel that not only would those extra time slots on non-school days, because there are more than just Sundays that you have off, be useful, but I also feel like they should open up more of those ones. Like, if the cat didn't exist, I would be exceedingly happy. There's actually a story reason why the cat isn't even in your room in a night in July. And guess what? You still weren't allowed to leave, even though he wasn't there to annoy the shit out of you. And it was your character's inner monologue. It took care of it. It served the same function. It provided the same annoying limitations. So the cat literally never needs to be there. He's used as a plot device, and I understand that, but fuck is he annoying. On that note, so is Ryuji. Ryuji, half the time that you get a text on your phone, and this is even after all of the other confidants you start having relationships with them, half the time you get a ding on your phone, and it starts right when you give him your number. It's fucking Ryuji just talking nonsense. It doesn't move the plot forward. If it does, it's in the group chat that anybody else could have started, but they don't. It's always him. That he's just one-track mind. That's all he wants. He wants to hang out, but he just cannot shut the fuck up about the Phantom Thieves. He just talks about them all the time, keeps wanting to do stuff, keeps having dumb ideas. It's like, I don't know if I have. If you've ever had that person, and because I felt like I didn't remember this from the first time I played through, but on this one, when you give him the number at the beginning, immediately that night in your room he's texting, and I'm wondering, is this what it's like when you give someone your phone number that you really shouldn't have given your phone number and you regret it, and then you wish that you could ungive them your number? Is that what this is like? Because he just won't shut the fuck up. And in cutscenes as well, when you are in person, he's always just an idiot. He's just an idiot. And he always makes things worse for everyone involved, not just the main character. So the game would be better if the cat just wasn't around. If the cat was just only with you guys when he needed to be for the story, and wasn't the person that was telling you that you couldn't do this or that in your room because he's not needed to. That would be way, way, way better. Drastically cut down on your interactions with the cat. And if Ryuji just wore duct tape over his mouth for the entire game and was only allowed to type one message into his phone a day, that's half the annoyance with the game right there. The other half of it is, of course, how often you are restricted from doing things. But again, so let me get back to that. Solving that problem is with a calendar. If it had a block, if those blocks showed you, you're going to be restricted to your room this day, you're going to be restricted to Cafe LeBlanc this day, you're going to be restricted to Jungen this day, or a block, then that's fine, because you could plan ahead. I could have made sure that I had DVDs ready. I could have made sure to put a persona in the training jail thing. It's a new thing in Persona 5 Golden. This time I happened to, and that's great, because I checked it first thing I could when I got out, and it said that it still hadn't learned the skill yet. So I came back the next day, and so that was almost as efficient as it could have been. But I only just happened to do that. I got no warning that I was not going to be in control or capable of doing just about anything for the next almost a week in the game. And that was so very frustrating. In a game that is all about time management, when the game takes that control away from you, doesn't reward you for it, doesn't provide you with outs or other ways of accomplishing things that you would like to do, basically punishes you in a number of ways. Because if if I had that control, if I had some control during these things, and these things inexplicably didn't take up all of my time, no reason for it to, and no reason for not being able to go back out at night, then I actually could have had the teacher at rank 10 by now. I'm pretty sure, if I had been given that week. Now, because of all of that time that was taken from me, I have to wait. It's the end of July. I have to wait until sometime in September, when school starts back up, for that to finish, so that I could have her max rank thing, which is awesome, which is when you go into either a palace or mementos, you can have her come over and give you a massage, and that allows you to go back out at night. It costs 5,000 yen, but I would absolutely pay that to be able to go and do more stuff. So I have to wait a month and a half-ish of in-game time in order for that to finish up, because you cannot get that final cutscene until you're back at school if you are not romancing her. And I'm sticking to it. I am not I'm gonna romance Anne, and that's it. So if it gave you the calendar and it didn't tell you why, it just told you what your restrictions were going to be, where your boundaries were for that time, then you can plan accordingly, and you wouldn't be frustrated because you would know that it's coming. So, well, I mean, you might still be frustrated that you can't do stuff. And on top of that, again, a lot of this stuff, there really isn't a reason for it to take up the amount of time that it does, to actually take those time slots away from you, to be so important that we're going to have to talk to someone tomorrow, so you should just go to bed tonight. No, you don't get any more sleep. So you don't get any benefit from sleeping earlier, and you don't get a punishment for not sleeping. You always get your sleep in. So let me go across the fucking street to the bathhouse. Let me go down the way and go buy some stuff. So that part of it might still be frustrating, that you disagree that these things take up your time. But if I was able to prepare, that would have been better. If I was able to know that, hey, this is the last day for 6 or 7 days that you can go to Shibuya, then I would have made sure to take care of what I needed to when I was there. There is one thing, though, that I wonder how the devs handled it. So there are times where, whether it's because someone requests that you go there, or the story, but not so much talking about the story, I'm talking about things that you can manipulate. You can manipulate certain things that allow you to not pay the fare to get to and from places. And that's kind of interesting to me. Now, the fare is not much. Pretty early on in the game, you can have, well, I ended up having a lot. I have to think it back to the first playthrough, back in the original version of the game, the one that you guys saw a chunk of. It was, I don't remember how early, but I ended up, even after buying all of the SP adhesive 3s from the doctor, I still had 6, and I'm pretty sure I crossed into 7 figures of yen. This game's a little different because of the DLC, you end up getting about 150,000 pretty quickly. But right now, I'm still sitting at 6 figures. I was several 100,000 in before I bought the SP adhesives, and now I'm climbing back up into 6 figures again. So the fact that the traveling to Kichijoji is 200 yen, that's not an issue. But it's interesting to me that the game still doesn't make sure to charge you for it. A developer had to think about that. Now, they probably thought, let's not punish them when they're getting dragged somewhere. And that's fine, but the thing is, you can manipulate some of these. It's not always that you're being dragged somewhere. Sometimes you can manipulate these things in such a way to get basically free travel somewhere. And again, not always for a story. Sometimes you get dragged there to do something, but then you're still there. You got dragged there to do something that didn't take up the time slot, so you're then still able to go out and in that area and do what you want it to do. So those are very interesting to me. I'll have to remember better an example next time. So I'm having a blast with the game to the detriment of literally anything else I could be doing with my free time, but I'm having a blast. So Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con got canceled, so our tickets will carry over into next year, and that's good. We can also, I'm guessing, go in during the returning registrant purchase toward the end of the year and try to pick up the preview night. We didn't get preview night, but could try to get that one last night that we didn't get this year. So and I also got really cheap hotel. The day that it was announced, I went and saw if I could go that far ahead, and I was actually able to purchase, someone put up their apartment for rent, and it was weird. It was still April, but I was able to reserve for July 2021, so that was really neat. It was really cheap, so but yeah, I just keep thinking about Persona. Even when I'm not playing it, I'm wanting to watch videos on it, but not. It's weird. I want to talk with people about it, but I don't want to. I don't want it to just be Let's Plays or anything like that. And on top of that, I don't want it going further into the game than I am. So I don't even know what to watch, and it's just one of those things where I think that you just keep wanting to talk to someone about it. And my ringtone is the same ringtone for when you get a message in the game. Like I showed you guys, I posted a picture before. My lock screen on my phone and my previous phone, since the game came out, has been that image of Anne from when you do an all-out attack after she downs an enemy. I just keep wanting to talk to people about the game, so you guys should buy it, play it, so we can talk about it, and I can help out as much as I can. This will also be like Dragon Quest, another game where I had bought it and played it before. In that one, in that instance, twice actually, because I got it on PC as well for modding, which did not take off. I wish it did, because there are a lot more things that I wish happened to that game. But when I got it on the Switch, and it just had a lot more that you could do and a lot better integration and stuff, that was really neat. And it was a ton of fun to get to the point where I was in the game before and then pass it. That was a blast. And that will happen in Persona. I don't actually remember. I could go check. I can put the game in the system and load a save and see when that was, because I don't remember. It was either November or December. I can tell you the next 3 palaces right now that I know that we're going to do. And it's weird wanting to rush to get back to that point so that I can get back to experiencing new stuff. And then but at the same time, I don't want to rush. I'm doing that replay where I started over the game, even though I had put, I was already a month and a half into it, trying to speed to that point. And now I decided I'm going to go back, turn on Japanese languages, or spoken language with the English subtitles, which I'm still learning stuff on. And so I'm wanting to speed back to that, but actually I'm going through the game slower than I probably even did the first time. Because before, I didn't read. When you're walking to school in the morning and it's just got students talking, I never bothered listening to that or reading it. When it goes over the night, a lot of the times they'll have stuff that pops out of what people are talking about in the city. I never read those before. I always skipped them. On the subway, especially if it's a day that for whatever reason, it'll still show. If you're not going to school, it'll still show the subway, and it'll have people talking on there. Not every day, but some days. I used to always just skip through that. So in reality, I'm actually reading through more than I did on my first playthrough, going through it even slower, because I love being immersed in just thinking about how well they put this world together. I'm starting to see that it's a little bit more shallow than I thought. It's wide, but it's a little shallow. They aren't actually talking about too many different things. But I am appreciating the amount of writing that went into the game and how well they put everything together. I still think that there's a little fine-tuning that could be done to the game, but I'm very happy with how it's playing out. I'm very happy with how different it feels from the first one in a number of ways. I do feel that in some ways they made it a little too easy. The fact that you have a couple more confidants that you need to spend time with is a reason to allow you to do more. I agree, but I feel that they gave you too much more time to do things. So they did not add another. It would have been neat if they added another social stat, though. That would have been very interesting to me, because it would have been neat to see how it was integrated into things that you were already doing. And so you would start to get this other, so it would have been a 6-pointed star social stat thing. So it would have been neat to see them retroactively integrate that into a lot of the existing confidant paths, not just the new ones, if the new ones at all. That would have been another way that I think would have probably balanced things out with the extra time and the extra points that you can get. It actually would have been very interesting to me to see that, to have another social stat in addition to having 2 confidants that you need to spend more time with. I think there's more than 2 confidants, but there's one of them that progresses automatically. So I think that's what it is. So those, you just go through the story, and those existed in the first one. The Fool Arcana is the guy that's inside your rehabilitator inside that little jail thing that you go to. Another one that progresses on its own is the Magician Arcana, and that's the cat. You just progress through the story, and it progresses on its own. You can't speed it up or anything. So I think they added another one of those with this, but I can't remember. And I couldn't tell you who it is. I must not have met them yet. But I'm trying not to look up too much info on the game going forward, because I don't want spoiler type stuff. So I'm loving the fact that there's a new game with new stuff to do. I'm hating that I'm going slower, and then in the middle there is the knowledge that because of the fact that I did not at least get to the point where I finished the game in the first place, that I won't get to appreciate whatever is different and or new after I get to the point where I am caught up. So that's one thing that's kind of a weird little in-between, where I won't be able to appreciate that, but at the same time I'm not going to go back and finish the original thing just so I could have that. So that's kind of an in-between thing where, here I can't wait to catch up, here I'm going slow, but there's this little in-between thing where it's like, oh, but this is sort of a bit of an unsolvable problem in a way. I'm not going to go back and play the original to conclusion. I'm interested in how this one plays out. I'm interested in the dynamic, because you actually, the involvement of the new character has ramped up considerably lately, and I'm interested in how that. I told this before, at the very, very, very beginning of the game, when you first start up and you're already Joker, because it does this little time skip thing where you're several palaces in. I disagree with all that, but you already see the character. But what sucks is that you already know that she's not a part of the Phantom Thieves. So I know that it's not even the palace that I've just started. It's either the next one or the one after. I think the next one. Oh wow, that's 4 palaces that I remember. So it's not even for a while that I'm going to get to that palace, and she's still not going to be on my team, and that sucks. I want her on my team. I want her as soon as possible. So I'm wondering, is she not even going to be able to be a member, even though you know of her and even though you see her in a palace early on? Are you not even going to be able to get her on your team before the game, before what would have been the end of the original game, because of the fact that they've added on a new semester and a new palace? Are you not even going to be able to have her until then? And if so, is that still going to be the case in the New Game Plus? Do you not have, because of story reasons, do you, even on a New Game Plus, do you not have your team together and you don't get them until you normally would have got them in a playthrough? Because if so, that makes it a lot less interesting to me. So that's just, I don't know, that'd be unfortunate. So unanswered questions, but can't wait to have her on the team so I can have my nice little, my group of the ladies, because I was never really into Haru. I used her, but I was never really into her. So I have Anne, Makoto, and Kasumi. And then Goro Akechi. So he's already been in the story, and I've been ignoring him because I've had confidants that I definitely wanted to go and spend time with and other things to do. But he's been trying to contact me. So I could be working on his confidant level. Without spoilers, the game, because I don't know, but the patch notes for, or you can call them patch notes, but the list of things that were different between Golden and the regular says that he's been reworked. And the fact that I have looked at his confidant page, because of the fact that you can go and spend time with him, I wanted to see, okay, what's his rank goes all the way up to 10. I don't know if it did in the first game, because in the first game, I don't know if you guys saw, but he's on your team for a little while, but only to betray you. So if he's been reworked in this game, I wonder if he ends up, maybe the betrayal still happens, but then you get him back later anyway. He recants. I don't know. So that's another thing that I'm interested in. So anyway, I'm going to let this cow do his thing. But and this is long enough to where it's probably already cut. But I'm going to get back, put this on the computer. Hopefully it looks okay. And then just play some more Persona for the rest of the day. That's not a cow. That's a person making noise. Anyway, yeah. Next vlog, I will be, I may be talking to Brian, and that's more for me, than anybody else, obviously. But my way of coping, I can't go and visit his grave once a week or anything like that. So this will be my way of sort of talking to him, like the Vlog brothers, like Hank and John. Fucking bugs. And I'm ready to go away from the bugs. So yeah. See you guys later.